Hello, my friends, and welcome to the end of year panel, where today we have got a lot of stuff to get through and reveal today. And as you can probably tell from the right of the screen right now, we have got quite a lot of people to do it. And as you can tell, it's called the Fellowship of Fans Crew End of Year panel because we thought just end of the year, we thought we'd just try and put together a nice thing that we can show you guys and reveal and stuff like that. So basically, kind of like a Comic-Con panel, but without actually at Comic-Con. I think that's the best way to put it. And also, yes, I'm back for this one as well. So yeah, I think there is a lot of you, but we'll start off in the order. So hello, Chen.
Hi.
Great to speak to you again. You been good?
Yeah, everything is fine.
We also have Florian. Been a while.
Hello, glad to be here.
Indeed, glad to have you on. Next, we have Lexi from Girl Next Gondor. Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Great for you to be here. And as you can also tell, Lexi and Florian are from the Tolkien Debate Show, but we unfortunately don't have Imzo today. But still, we do have Kyle. Hello, my friend.
Good day, sir. Great to be here with everyone.
Indeed. We also have Lakitia. Hello.
Hey everyone, good to have you back, Fellowship.
Thank you. We also have, again, returning, we have Nikki.
Maigwan and Melanin.
Great to have you here, and always I've missed you talking in Elvish like that. It's been quite a while now since we've done a podcast. And also, we have Strider.
My Goan and Melanin, pleasure to be with you here tonight. Hello.
Hello, my friend. So, Varkin, you going to do some Elvish to finish us off in a row?
No, because dwarves are far superior to elves, but I'm not going to put that on anybody.
Yeah, that's a really interesting take on that. So, as you can tell, probably there is we've got, so basically the idea around this was that is going to be end of year panel. We've got everyone who either works and helps out behind the scenes at Fellowship of Fans and is part of the panels, part of the shows, and mainly could be able to make it this year as make Fellowship of Fans what it is this year as well. And we have, as I said before, we've got so much to get through. So we've got lots of some quite shell shock reveals around the show. We've got some personal Fellowship of Fan reveals, and we've got some updates on some of the shows that we run, and a few more. And also, as you can tell from the preview trailer, we had some stuff around that Showrunner Part 2 that we could the stuff we can reveal from it. But I think first thing that we've got to say is going into 2022. Actually, I believe it's January the 20th, 2022. We have www.fellowshipoffans.com. So yes, we have finally gone with creating a website, and I think Varking, do you want to take over here and just go through it a bit?
So the idea behind the website is to reach a further, wider audience than just the audience for the show. Fellowship of Fans has really come together, and it's been more than just leaks and rumors and news around the show. We'll have and talked about a vast amount of things, all within the Tolkien legendary universe. And we decided that we should get together and put together a website where people can come and read news about anything related to Tolkien, whether it's video games, movies, the show. As more and more things come out, toys, whatever, we want to talk about every bit of it, and we want to get the community involved too. So we want to set up a website where you can come, filter out news, chat with us. You can reach out to us directly on the website, and then the cool part will be we want to take community submissions. So if somebody feels passionate and they want to write an article about a specific topic within the Tolkien universe, they can reach out to us. We can get that set up, and there's the opportunity for those who are very active and write quality articles to eventually become a dedicated writer on the website. But yeah, I mean, that was the main idea behind putting all this together, was rather than just have subreddit or just social media. Let's give people a place where they can go to call home, so they can also be part of this fellowship of fans.
That was a perfect last line, I'll have to admit. So yeah, I think Varkin's covered that perfectly there as well. So yeah, we've got that, and also you could probably tell we've got the new logo as well. So Ken, what do you think is going to be the first article you're going to write?
I have no idea. I usually write articles not on any preconceived plan. I just write. So
Right.
I have no
Yeah.
idea. I imagine it would be something to do with the show, but I'll have to have need it to be fresh and new, and so I can't just recycle old tidbits. I need something new. So we'll see.
So yeah, and around this show we're going to get into, so as I said before, we've got quite a lot to get into today. The first bit we're going to do, as quite traditional for the channel, we've got a reveal, and I'd like to stress that we've tried to substantiate this to make sure, but just because at the end of the year panel thing, we're trying to take this not 100%, but we have heard this and think it's at least credible enough to the extent where we can release it, but it is that reason it's not on the second issue, but it is still quite wild either way. So as I've said before, I'm guessing everybody here knows of the character Adar. I was thinking, Lakitia, Kyle, one of you two probably have the best memory of this. Could you guys, one of you, quickly run down what Adar is? Who he is, in fact? Well, not the reveal, though.
Yeah, sure. So we've been talking about Adar in one of our second date shows. Apparently, he's a warlord, tortured, corrupted. He used to be an elf. What exactly he is now, we don't know. So all in all, he sounds like a villainous character. And we've heard that he's going to be played by Joseph Mole.
Indeed. And now, we still don't know the exact character he is, but the latest rumors around it is that Adar might be one of Galadriel's brothers. So I think I'll start off with someone who did previously know this. So Kyle, what's your immediate thoughts on that, if this is true?
Yeah, I know how we talked about the image of Tyrion being most likely Finrod, and I do wonder if that's where that connection is. I don't see the person in that image as Joseph Mall, but I could easily be wrong. I'm very interested to see what direction that's going to go.
Indeed. And I think Pixie, your first stage and talk knowledge in general is quite sufficient. But did any of Galadriel's brothers come back to life in the second age?
We don't know about Finrod. We don't know whether he came back in the first stage or in the second. It's just said that he was quickly resurrected. But yeah, no, they don't appear in the second age like in Earth. So I would have to give that a hard no.
But the thing is, we still don't know. It might not be Finrod. Maybe in a different version, it might even be Orodreth, and then what that happens with Gilgalad. But that's just a side point. We don't know exactly which rights they have. But I think this is a good thing. Nikki, do you think having this potentially be Galadriel's brother, because it does link to the Finrod reveal we did a few months ago?
I don't know. Honestly, I am open to see what they do with it, but I don't know. I just like there is freedom, and then there's freedom, with regards to being creative and creating storylines that will sort of flesh out the stories that we all know and love. But I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I should just wait and see whether or not this is the case.
Yeah, I think having Finrod be somebody who's presented as a villain, it has some really, high stake drama attached to it. I mean, he's a really, really popular character, so I'm not too surprised that they would be including him in a bigger capacity.
And this doesn't necessarily change the main story of Finrod as it is in the books. I mean, he would only have been taken like by Sauron and tortured into Adar rather than killed in captivity. So it could make for some really, really grand emotional scenes for Galadriel and, the conflict between the Finrod that she knew and loved and then the tortured, corrupt thing that Adar has become. But if I could have my way, I would not want this fate for my favorite character. But unfortunately, Amazon hasn't quite reached out to me yet to offer opinions.
Yeah, I don't like if it's really or whatever it might be Finrod or another brother. Like it doesn't really. I feel like it's basically or with any of Tolkien's versions really of the Silmarillion and of the First and Second Age, it's pretty much maybe not like ruled out like explicitly because technically elves could return to Middle Earth for a while in the Second Age, but it doesn't really work for me because like elves can't, or it depends on the character. Like elves shouldn't really be willing to work with a Dark Lord. Like the only exception is Maiklin, and he's pretty crooked from the start, and he was tortured. So like an elf really needs to like it only works if he's really twisted and heavily like tortured and dominated, because elves shouldn't work with Sauron like from their own free will.
Yeah, so I would like to chime in with my 2 cents, and that is that, well, first of all, whoever Joseph Mole ends up playing specifically, I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of my favorite characters because I really like the actor. But I'm also not sure where this could exactly lead us, because we do have an example of elves coming back to Middle Earth. We have Glorfindel, and nowhere is specifically said that he's the only elf ever who came back. But still, it does feel a bit strange to have this idea of Galadriel's brothers coming back, but it could certainly some interesting plots, even though, I mean, I think as everybody here, I'm not sure what those plots may be.
Yeah.
My theory regarding this character in the last few weeks was actually that he may just be perhaps Sauron pretending to be an elf or something like that. But that was just like a working theory of mine. But yeah, those are my thoughts regarding this.
Varking, any final thoughts?
I think that the only reason to have an elf resurrected on the show is so a dwarf could kill him.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough, and I think that is an interesting take on that as well. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of dwarf antics in this video, but
Barking
overall,
is really trying to start a fight.
yeah. But I think overall, this of course isn't 100% confirmed. This may well be wrong, but this has been what we've heard from same sources who have said other stuff which has turned out to be true. But we will just have, I famously say, we'll just have to wait and see. And have you heard the big news? The Council of Fans podcast, according to the execs at Fellowship of Fans, has been renewed for season 2.
Oh, very
It's
cool.
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I
Would've
think,
known.
yeah, I wish they had actually done it back to back like they did for season 1 and 2 of Lord of the Rings, but I think Penguin did stop the chance of that happening. But yeah, we do have the season 2, of course. Nikki, you're here as well. Matt, excited?
Yes.
He sounds so confused, but unsure.
Yeah, I'm kind of I haven't really prepared anything or looked into anything until today. I knew we had this thing, but I have no idea what we're supposed to talk about or anything. So kind of just trying to follow along with everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about everything in regards to the show.
Yep. So that will be starting from 2022. we start season 2. Also have Tokutupu. Also, I forgot to say he couldn't make it either, but he will be there. So will Penguin, who should be joining us later on today. But I think the next thing we've talked about the Council of Fans podcast, but now Florian and Lexi, we have the Tolkien debate show, which is from next year is going to be on the on Spotify and Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts as well. Yeah, that we're still in season 1 for that one because I think only 4 episodes are out. But yeah, you guys excited?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to upload them to all these platforms, so I'm pretty happy.
It's Carl's job, unfortunately.
You're welcome.
Lexi?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. Any excuse I get to argue more with Florian and Emzo, I'm like, so there.
Indeed. But I think also, before we continue, I think we have a sneaky penguin amongst us. So, hello, penguin. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing today?
Fine, thank you. I think it's been about 3 or 4 months since you've last been on. So, how have you kept up since then?
Oh, I've just barely held it all together. Finding after all these years, finally found a place that I can argue and talk about Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth. Then having to shut it all back in for 4 months, it's been hard and terrible.
Luckily, you have given us a nice end of year treat. So yeah, there we go. Actually, should we call it a treat? To some, it might be a treat. But to others, in the comments, we shall see. Surprisingly rhymed as well. Okay. Varking, man of the hour. Guess what we have next? We're gonna talk about the dwarven things. So, as you can see on screen, so a few months ago, we revealed. Actually, Carl did a lovely edit of Durin, but now we actually got someone who worked on the show, who's also his job wasn't a graphic designer, but they are a graphic designer, and who has also seen Owain Arthur's Durin on set, has done this little graphic for us. So Varking, this is Durin for us right in front of us, edited. First thing I'd say is look at that beard.
Well, I mean, the beard is fantastic. I like the stature, the pose that he's doing looks nice and strong. Multicolored beard, nice little crown. And then I guess the only reason he's not carrying, 3 weapons is because he doesn't have 3 arms. But this dude is the type of guy that would be loaded up with weaponry, got him in his boots, got him under his coat. He is ready to go.
Indeed. But
I'm gonna have to stop you right there. Are those weapons or are those little forearm crutches, to help him with his mobility?
I'm gonna log out.
I mean, maybe it's he's like pushing like a little cart or something.
Yeah, that's something the Dwarven Kings often do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's he looks pretty good. The only thing I'd expect, like maybe this is like his, but even in battle, like I would expect like a bit more like jewelry, like some more gold or jewels. He looks a bit plain for a king.
Maybe he's in the middle of his workout routine, and those are just workout equipment.
Or maybe he's
Kinda
walking
looks
some
like-
trees back home from the last set that we just saw.
It kind of looks like his battle gear, I guess. I don't know. I think maybe he might have more than one costume, so
Yeah, sure.
And I think that was a really insightful discussion around that. And the next immediate thing is the next reveal. So this is another one, which is that. So remember those sheets got leaked a while back, which had like a dart and some other stuff on it, but it excluded Anarion. But now what we can update on is that there is an Anarion in season 1 of Lord of the Rings on Prime, but his role is very limited and has a few lines but isn't really involved in the first season, and is said to be around 14 years old. And the final bit is the Game of Thrones viewers, is that his involvement is said to be similar to Tommen Baratheon of season 2, I think was exactly what was said. So yeah, Lakitia, what do you think of this?
So yeah, just to a quick brief, the situation with Tommen Baratheon was that he was basically cast by an extra, a child actor, for the first couple of seasons. And then after his role got a bit more prominent, he was replaced by an actual actor. So I think this may also be the case with Anarion here. You know, maybe his role isn't that important in the first season, and he's only played by an extra. And after he grows up a little bit in perhaps the second season, he gets cast, you know, with an actual actor. Who knows?
Well, I would like to say that I'm very happy to hear this news. This is great news, because I was afraid that, honestly, that they were not going to put him through one season or another. And for who know how the movie present the Argona, actually those statues in the movies, those statues represent Isildur and Elendil, but of course in the books there are statues of Anarion and Isildur. And Anarion, being one of the two sons of Elendil, was such an important character, and he definitely deserves to be in the show, and to play a major role, of course, since the two he founded Minas Tirith, if I'm not mistaken, and Isildur founded Minas Ithil, what then became Minas Morgul.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that he would be. I can see why they would make him perhaps like a younger, like a teenager during the first season. I can totally see that. I'm just very, very happy that we have him confirmed. These are really good news.
Yeah, I think it would be very weird to have no Anarion. Of course, in the few, like, of course, Tolkien never wrote much in detail about this period, but even inside, like the material that we do have, Aaron is of course like a minor character. Like he isn't really needed for any story element, but of course it's like he has a very symbolic role for the most part. Like of course he founds he's named after the sun, and his brother Isildur is named after the moon, and so Anarion founds Minas Anor, the Tower of the Sun. Isildur founds Minas Ithil, the Tower of the Moon, and they rule together in Osgiliath, like in the Hall of Stars, where they meet in the middle. So it's like, and of course he dies during the siege of Barad-dûr. So maybe like as an example how big of a cost and how really bad that siege was for the Free Peoples. So like there's no, like he doesn't have to be there for any of the story to make sense, but I feel like he's a very thematically important character. And of course, if you're going to have Isildur like as a major character, it makes sense to give him, you know, a family member that he can talk to, especially if they, you know, have Elendil in the north, like he is in the books, and Elendil founding Arnor. Isildur and Anarion would be working together in Gondor later season. So if they follow Tolkien's story, he should definitely become more important in future seasons when he grows up.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about Anorian, and what is just interesting to me is he's young, and I think this is kind of grasping at straws here because we don't know what they're going to do, but we all know what happens to Anorian. He eventually dies during the siege of Barad-dûr, and if he's going to fight in that, he has to grow up. So it seems as if there's going to be some degree of the passage of time between each season, so we're going to see him grow up to an extent, and which is going to make his death, hopefully, if they do a good job of developing him, we should like him, and his death at the end should be a tragedy. Granted, during that war, will really just be a case of the last hero standing, with only Elrond and Isildur left, plus a handful of others. But it should be interesting to see what they do with him. But if they're just having a young extra doing him, I can imagine he's probably just going to be not have much in the way of speaking lines, maybe just be here and there, say, "Oh, go tell your brother this," or just shooing him off to go play with his toys or something. I don't know. Lots of stuff you could do with him.
Yeah, I agree with everything that everyone said so far. I think we know that the Isildur's character is quite young at the time, so we can expect Anarion to be even younger at like a decade or so younger. So that all makes sense, and it's really nice to see that could be a recurring character going forward in seasons, and that Amazon have really thought about the longevity of this and how characters can develop going into the future.
So when it comes to Anarion, one thing I kind of like about that idea of him maybe having a more prominent role is that I kind of have a soft spot for the other brother, or the less famous of a duo or of a group. So this was one of my hopes for the series, was that they would take those minor characters who lived through some really interesting times and would have had some pretty, you would think, exciting or traumatic or both experiences, and sort of leaning into that with Anarion and other minor characters like that. That's a really rich vein, I think, that you can mine when it comes to Tolkien, that doesn't run into, well, did it happen this way in this version or that version? For example, like with Galadriel and her mysterious brothers who may or may not be orcs. Instead of that, or maybe in addition to that, you can also just like say, hey, what would it be like to be growing up as Isildur's brother while your distant cousin is marrying your other distant cousin and turning your nation to devil worship?
Indeed. And they may or may not be orcs. We'll just have to see around that. And I think, as we have a common theme around this, Varking, final thoughts?
Again, minor, probably irrelevant character in the grand scheme of things. Just based on not being a dwarf. I don't want to say it too loud, but I mean, you guys understand. Dwarf's number one.
Indeed. Well, not indeed. That is quite subjective.
No, indeed, dwarf's number one,
Yeah.
confirmed by Fellowship of Fans. Tweeting it.
My Govan in Melin. Hello, my fellow Tolkien fans. My name is Matt Geyer from the Shire, and I'm thrilled to be joining Fellowship of Fans as we discuss the ins and outs of all things Lord of the Rings on Prime. I've been a fan of Tolkien's work for nearly my whole life, and as I'm sure is the case with many of our listeners, these unforgettable stories have influenced my own creative projects as both a writer and a musician. This is truly an exciting time for fans of Tolkien's Legendarium, and I look forward to taking a deep dive into the lore of the Second Age as we all anticipate and speculate about this upcoming series.
The next thing we're going to be moving on to now is something that, unfortunately, even though Tim Took is an amazing artist, this would have taken too much time, but what we were able to get our hands on is, in fact, it's a set piece, and of course, due to copyright issues, and this is Amazon's content, we're not going to show it on screen, which is unfortunate. We've tried, of course, with the set pictures, we've got that done, but of course, as of right now, we can't do that with everything. However, I think the main thing here is that what I have on screen right now is that there is a lot going on here, like a lot. And what I've done is it's blurred on screen, but I have done a diagram and boxes, and in each one is where each what is happening in each quadrant, so you get an idea of what this is. And this might be something massive. This might be something really minuscule. I think. Can I move on to you next? Explain more in detail what this could be, and
I'm trying
just
to have a good look at it. It's a relief of some kind. It's very difficult to tell because of just the nature of it being a movie prop. It's very difficult to tell whether it's to be, whether it's meant to come across as a wood carving or something like more like marble. I certainly think the latter is the case. And it seems to describe events, I would say, of the first age, really. We have a dragon routing horsemen. That seems like Glaurung at the Agor Dragolach, I believe. And we also have some warg action going on down there, some spiders that looks like stuff out of Baron and Luthien, the hunting of the wolf, that sort of thing. So it's like a heritage piece of, the events of the heroes of the first age, I suppose. Which would be, a nice set decoration for somewhere in Numenor or even in I don't know, somewhere. But I really think it's a set decoration to be placed in the far background of a shot. That's what I really think it is. It mostly just shows a little bit attention to detail in the dressing of the set.
I actually don't get the Numenorian vibe from this. To me,
Sure.
this piece looks very, very, folksy, like folk art. So
It looks
I would
very
expect,
Viking, yeah.
yeah. So I would expect something like this to be found somewhere in maybe the Guathurim villages, something like that. A little bit more, more primal than the Numenor itself. I also the central figure, the one that you said might be Glaurung, it really reminds me of the Central European, devil incarnations, like images that we see. So I find that really,
It's
really
very
interesting.
humanoid, yeah.
Yeah.
But doesn't it look like it has wings?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I was gonna say Fafnir, but
I mean, if
Glaurung
it has Glaurung doesn't have wings, so
Yeah,
would
sure.
be
I will say though,
might be a Balrog.
Hey,
It's probably
neither do Balrogs. Yeah, here we are.
and maybe
Neither do-
some Balrog have non-functional wings. We don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they have wings of. They can have wings that are shadow-like. So if you see their shadow wings and you carve them in wood, you would carve them with wings, obviously. So
Yeah, but
mean-
my point is a different one, which is something like this, which is probably going to be in the back of shot. Like there's wood carvings in Beorn's house, yeah, and they feature things like Hugin and Munin from Norse mythology, things that don't really because it's not meant to be, because the camera is not going to study it. They can have their way with giving the dragon wings, and there's actually I think I see Hugin and Munin on the edge of the shot here as well, the two ravens of Odin's. It's if it is something that is meant to be seen in the back of shot, then we shouldn't be scrutinizing every minute detail of it too much. You get my point?
yeah, but I mean, we have
So you're
to. We're making a YouTube video here, so we have to.
yeah.
We have to
Sure.
talk about this at least, or
Don't
we have
be a
to at
Grinch.
least.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, of course, it could just be like a random thing they have in the background, or like a reference. Of course, in the Hobbit movies, like a reference to Northern mythology, makes sense because of Tolkien's inspirations.
Yeah, but
So maybe
within the
maybe
style,
it's
don't
more of
let
a meta reference that
Yeah, it's
that could
meta.
also be the case.
Yeah, sure. I will say, just like those wood carvings, this looks very John Howe. Very. So, the wood carvings were certainly done by John Howe, so maybe this as well.
So I would just like to add. So someone said I didn't who that we have, for example, a scene of hunting the wolf here from the Silmarillion, probably. Well, we also have this spider-like creatures. So what also came to my mind is that we could also see here like a depiction of Baron trying to reach Doriath, and I know that we know that he goes through that shadowy area that Melian summoned, and that there was like some very strange and awful creatures, and this would also be a depiction of that. So that is what I noticed here, and I would also agree that this could be both Balrog and also Glaurung, but I would also lean more towards Balrog, even though that discussion about the wings, well, they can still be artistically portrayed as having them, whether they do have them or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this looks very interesting, but it does look like something that the camera wouldn't probably hang onto too much. It could certainly give some depth into the surroundings of the characters.
But Nikki, either way, looking at that, it does look quite beautiful, doesn't it? It looks so detailed, etc.
Yeah, it does. I was gonna say it reminds me a little bit of like the Viking art that you see in like old churches and stuff here in Norway. Like I see like quite a lot of like things that can be drawn parallel to in the Viking ages, like we talked about, which is pretty cool.
Looks like a Ziggurat stone.
But we don't know, like this, as you guys said, this could be just in the background somewhere, so it doesn't even have to be really that relevant for anything except the fact that it's actually a really beautiful, well-made piece that might as well be the decoration over a door somewhere than something that has anything to do with anything. But it's really cool that they go into this level of detail.
Indeed. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we move on?
It's pretty.
I could just say that I think this does have a lot of seems to depict events from the first stage, maybe not exactly sure which ones. And if so, I like the idea that they're embedding that history in ways that's not explicit, like an info dump. I'm sure there will obviously be plenty of info dumps and explanations and things, but just little nods to including that in a sense of these past events that they maybe can show or can't do more than describe. They can work those into the overall feel of the series instead of just focusing on telling us about it.
Just want to mention one other thing, that as far as we can see, this beautiful piece here is actually broken in half, which of course could mean nothing. This could just be something that happened to the set piece, but it also could mean that actually something happened to this particular set piece, which would make a lot of sense if the village or the town that this was displayed at was attacked by an army. Stuff like that would get destroyed as well. So I'm wondering if there's something else behind that.
Or it's just part of the aging.
Or
Sure.
Or Amazon actually do not know this was taken, so they probably wondering where this has gone because someone actually did steal this. So maybe that might be the reason why it's broken, because someone's just rushed away with it. But yeah, there could be many
it wasn't
reasons.
us, Amazon. It wasn't.
It wasn't us, yeah.
Please stop sending your Amazon trucks up my street. But it's broken, yes, but I just wonder if it's just broken after the piece was used, because it's looks as if it's supposed to be carved in wood. Yet on the broken fault line, we can see white. So I wonder if that's just the actual foam or material that it was carved out of that otherwise you wouldn't see if this was all in one piece.
And Stride, I think you wanted to add one final thing?
Yeah, so as everybody else has said so far, so this is most likely the vision of something that happens in the first stage, and people said Fafnir and of course Vikings. So I would just like to add that this did remind me also of some sort of a depiction of Ragnarok, And when you think about it, the end of the first age could indeed be viewed by the people of Middle Earth, especially humans, or like men, as Ragnarok of sorts. So this would, if I had to place this somewhere, it would be in some village of men in Eriador, probably. That was, if we are connecting all of this, attacked at some point, and then this was destroyed in the process.
I'd like to add one thing, if I could, real quick. I think the image itself was done by humans, and it's depicting a battle that's mainly with humans in it. And I think that because one, you can see some of the structure that they're fighting on. It's a 2-level fight. There's like a base to it, and then it's kind of like a second tier where more people are standing and animals are fighting. None of the humanoid characters are thicker like dwarves, and none of them have pointy ears like the elves. So this would have to be done by humans. And even if it is a background piece that they're just going to pan over and it doesn't have real meaning towards the show, typically you don't take the time to carve something this intricate if it doesn't have some sort of meaning for your history. So this, to me, has some sort of meaning to do with the humans, a battle that the humans were in. I'm kind of just happy that as I'm panning through the creatures here, you can see things that look like spiders, maybe rats. I think it looked like a penguin on the top left-ish, but just really pumped that I don't see any snakes.
A little known fact that in the Book of Lost Tales, Volume 3, Sauron was briefly changed to Lord of Penguins instead of werewolves.
Cats. It was cats, not penguins.
This is Volume 3. Trust me, very few of you people have read this one.
I want to see penguins. Come on.
Okay. And I think one minor thing I want to add is that actually in the top right you can see that these skeletal, like evil, like figures, just of course for you guys blurred, but I've got it's all diagrammed here, and it seems like just from the overview there seems to be like either it's a dragon or Balrog or Drake. Then there's the Snape that's curling around killing a human. Then we've got humans fighting that snake. Then we've got then other humans on a horse. I think bottom left are those orcs? I think these things right here. I think there'll be much more detailed analysis on screen, but that's fine to think around that because I don't want to dwell on it too long because of course the viewers can't see it. But we hope we've given you like at least an in-depth description of what it does look like, what we are seeing. And I think moving on, the final thing, the final real thing we'd talk about today is that we've also heard that episode 1. There is going to be a big emphasis on Galadriel's hair. I know that is what we've heard. It is quite a broad topic, but yeah, it apparently focuses a bit on Galadriel's hair. So Lexi, take this one away first.
Right. So first, serious phase. Galadriel's hair is in Lord of the Rings described as golden hair as opposed to Celeborn's pure sort of Teleran cinder and normal silver hair. We know that she has Vanyarin blood and Teleran blood, and that all of her family is kind of the blondies of the Noldorn royal house, so that becomes significant. Her brother Finrod is noted to be more of a like golden hair tone, whereas she, in some of the later unpublished, mostly unfinished, mostly horribly contradictory writings that Tolkien did about Galadriel, her hair was noted to have had sort of a silver gold cast. So it's like, the light of the trees, the famous Laurelene and Telperion silver tree and gold tree, in reverse order, were mingled and caught in the net of her hair, and that's what inspires Feanor to want to make the Silmarils, and he wants her hair, and she tells him no 3 times, and then later on Gimli's going to ask her for her hair, and she's going to give him some, and so what I guess they're gonna lean into the importance of her hair color, the remarkable beauty of her hair, some way in the series. My guess would be that she weaves Durin a cloak out of her hair, because we know that the dwarves make better use of her hair than the elves would.
I just want to point out that Galadriel's hair does bring a certain Feanor to mind, which I'm sure fans would absolutely love. And I think it would also serve to build some complex relationship dynamic between Galadriel and Celebrimbor further down the road. So I wonder if this importance of Galadriel's hair isn't just something that's important way back when we have the flashbacks of Valinor.
I kind of have to react to something that Lexi said about. See, I kind of think, why not go the opposite direction? We know that her hair, she refused her hair to Fëanor. Then years later, she gave 3 to Gimli. Why not, have this Galadriel be somewhere in the middle, more of the prideful sort who still desires to be that great queen, still desires to be that big ruler. So have her take almost obsessive pride in her hair. Yeah, sure, she can still be concerned with the fate of Middle Earth, the greater good, but still have that hefty dosage of pride that hasn't yet been humbled by all the events of the Second Age. So go the opposite route. I'll just be incredibly protective, prideful of her hair, not willing to share, or really let anyone touch it. Oh no.
That would be the Kid Galadriel, remember, at this point.
Yes. Okay, right.
So the last thing on our itinerary would be that a certain film has just turned 20 years old. Oh my god, I remember watching it when it came out. So I don't know, Mazel Tov.
Yeah, we're old.
I know you were in denial. That doesn't count, but.
Honestly, I would like to say that I haven't actually seen the first one. The Fellowship of the Ring is not the only one that I haven't seen in the movies. So I hope to change that.
Interesting.
Wait, sorry, did you just?
I was
you said you haven't seen the Fellowship of the Ring?
In the movies, like in the cinema.
Oh, I see.
Gotcha.
Oh,
okay, sure.
Yeah.
I saw it 5 times.
No, I just haven't seen it in cinema, so I hope to see it in cinema one day. But I'm gonna watch it for the probably 300th time tonight. Yeah, extended version tonight, absolutely. So I think the whole world should celebrate this, because we all know that this is one of the most moments in cinema history. Having the Lord of the Rings trilogy to set the standards for cinematography, for motion picture, for inventing so many techniques that were later used. This is an important moment today.
I tend not to judge movies. I think it's very easy to judge movies for their influence rather than for. I think much more important is that how much one enjoys the movie rather than the influence it had on cinema, because you need to watch it, so I always tend to shy away from all this talk about the movie being influential. Actually, The Lord of the Rings has been, I see more the influences of like the contemporary Harry Potter than I do The Lord of the Rings. So I don't know. I think Nikki has something on her mind.
Yeah, I'm one of those fans who I would probably be yelled at a lot from like the deep-rooted, very deep down community who read the books before I was born. But my first introduction to the Lord of the Rings at all, well, first it was The Hobbit being read to me as a child, but I did not know that. Well, I was a child, so I didn't even care who wrote it at the time. I felt it was the most magical story, loved it, but it was I was none the wiser about who wrote it. And then I saw The Lord of the Rings at the movies as a school excursion the first time I ever saw it. I was not in primary school, I was in secondary school. And I remember it had such a profound impact on me that it affected who I became after that. And I remember seeing it once at school, then I saw it 3 more times at the movies. And then I picked up the book because I remembered my parents had it in their bookshelf, picked it up and read the entire book, like all of them, not as one book, like one of the big giant ones, not the ones that are divided into 3 different ones. I read it in a week, and I think I was 13 years old at the time. And then my obsession became a lot deeper after that. I started reading anything Tolkien had written. So that movie was my initial introduction to Tolkien, and I have no issues with it. I love it. I love the whole thing, and I've seen all of the extended, all of the interviews, anything that I can find, both about the movie, about Tolkien, about everything. I have just it escalated my interest in it, and that's kind of what I'm hoping that the TV series is gonna do for a lot of new generations. I think I saw a meme once about this girl. No, it was a Lord of the Rings, a Tolkien fan who named her daughter, I believe it was Awen, I think. And the daughter had said, "Yeah, it's from this book, this really old book and movie that my mom loves." I mean, there's a whole entire generation out there that might not even have a connection with Tolkien whatsoever. And I'm hoping that this TV series is going to be changing a lot more people's lives, like the movie did for me. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that last point. My hope series, well, I have a lot of hopes for the series, but one of the big ones is that it draws more people deeper into Tolkien, and so they can kind of explore all of it and not just the kind of tiny sliver of the whole history of Middle-earth that we see in the actual Lord of the Rings books. I kind of had a similar experience. I was probably a little bit young to be actually reading Tolkien without any external influences when the movies came out. My friends had all seen the movies, and they really wanted to do, the classic "let's watch all of the Lord of the Rings movies" sleepover party. But I was one of those people who was like, "Well, if it's based on a book, I have to read the book before I watch the movie." And they were like, "Come on, Lexi, like we want to have all these M&Ms to eat." So that was actually what pushed me to finally get through the Fellowship of the Ring. I think a lot of people hit about Tom Bombadil and Stall, and that had been my experience the 4 or 5 times I had tried it. So without the movies, I probably would not have finished the Fellowship of the Ring. And once I got to Lorien, then it was like smooth sailing. And then 3 months later, I'm like, okay, I need to read this Silmarillion thing that everyone's talking about, and that was just like mind blowing. So yeah, I have a fond appreciation and view of the movies. I do kind of engage in the obligatory book purist pastime of griping about really minor details in the Jackson adaptation, where it's like, disregarding the thematic significance of the Palantir and all of that. But that's kind of in good fun and in the spirit of I love this thing, so I'm gonna complain about it. I think that we underestimate their achievement at our peril, even though they're first of all, they're never going to be anyone's perfect idea of Middle Earth because it's a movie. It's never going to fully match what's in your mind. Same goes for the series. And then secondly, we can look back and critique it. There's imperfections in everything, but I think we've been spoiled with that adaptation. Those of us who kind of came of age in the Tolkien fandom when the films were coming out. Also, it made it a lot cooler that I knew random Elvish phrases. Like for about a year there, that was like my social cachet was, oh yeah, she knows all about that Tolkien thing that's so hot right now. And then Twilight happened, and that was it for me. I was back to being a reject, but a happy reject because I had Tolkien to enrich my life. And with that, I'm going to bid everyone adieu because I am going to slide out of this panel and go scrounge up some food and meet some commitments.
It's been great having you on, Lexi.
Thanks so much
And
for letting me hang out.
and I just want to chime in with my little, villain origin story. My brother and sister had both read all the main Tolkien books by that point. I started with The Hobbit when I was 12, but still one of the most defining moments of my life was probably the moment when I first saw. I think it was a video of Made B on MTV, and I just sat there starstruck, and my life was changed forever. Then I went on to read all the books. But it's a really lovely anniversary. I think we all hoped a little bit that Amazon might acknowledge it somehow with maybe a little tidbit released, but unfortunately, it's not looking too good.
I mean, like, isn't that like the new major rivalry coming up, like Amazon Tolkien's adaptations, and then the other, like, Warner Brothers New Line? They are also now making this the animated Hammerhand movie. So I'm not sure. Like, of course they could like do something, but I feel like this is like the start of the new Cold War era in Tolkien adaptations. And of course, in the movies, there's a lot of people who complain about minor things, like minor problems in adaptations that the movies have. I prefer to complain about the major problems that they have. But I think it's really, if you look at most other book adaptations, the movies are fine as adaptations, and of course they're masterpieces in terms of just being a book, being regardless of the book, like just being a movie for themselves. They are great adaptations, and without Jack's movies, there probably would be a Tolkien fandom, but I can't really imagine how it would look. Definitely a lot older and a lot emptier.
So I'd like to add, I definitely agree with what you just said, and those movies are definitely masterpieces. And I first said something about their importance in the history of cinema, but of course, on a more personal note, I read The Lord of the Rings when I was around 8. It was my first book, and I was reading it for months. It was 8, and reading something else is really not easy. But it was a truly mind-blowing experience, and seeing those movies and rewatching them for 20 years now, that's absolutely amazing to have that chance to do something like that. And I'd just like to add to this that, and like, sort of to segue to the show itself, my only requirement for the show is that if it is done by heart and love that Peter Jackson and the crew put into the movies, I have no doubts that this show, however it ends up being in an aesthetic way or like story-wise, if it's done with the passion and love as an adaptation, and the movies are also an adaptation, they did cut out a lot of things and change a lot of things. If they do it with passion and love, I'm sure that the show will also be a new Lord of the Rings experience for the new generations.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And we are about to wrap up quickly. So from that showrun interview, of course, we had to take that down, but there are still some bits that we could release about it. And the main things was that Simon Tolkien was a tougher audience to please than Amazon execs. And that apparently, according to that show, one of the execs behind the scenes did want to make art because it seemed like more of a passion project. But then in the actual meeting, it was inappropriate to talk about casting at that period. But they did make jokes about castings. I think or who was now, but someone as Sauron / Anatar.
It was not inappropriate. Yeah.
Oh, it was not inappropriate. Okay, my bad. And then finally, the showrunner was going to give Celebrimbor a wife and a son who falls in the Last Alliance and would have met a river hobbit at one point in the story, which probably shows that aspect of it. So yeah, that's the things that we can release from that interview as well. But I think this is just about it. It's been the first one. I think this has been so much fun, and it's of course thing on the website general. I think this is a really exciting occasion right now for Fellowship of Fans, and moving it just from me of course, the creator, but as into more of a we now, because what we will be able to do next year. So I think we're looking really forward to that. So firstly, thank you, Varking, for coming on, and also all the work behind the scenes. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Getting everybody together has been really cool, and it was nice meeting everybody.
Indeed, indeed. Also, talking to who did come in for a few minutes but then had to leave because he couldn't make it. Thank you, Tim. He'll be here next year as well on Council of Fans podcast. Oh yeah, Penguin, did you hear? We are going for season 2 now. We got renewed. So yeah, we're gonna see you there next year then.
Awesome. I look forward to pissing off all the listeners some more.
Indeed. And then meanwhile, we'll have Strider on the Second Age show. Thank you, man.
Hey, I just want to say it's an absolute pleasure to be with all of you here, like with Kyle and Lakitia in the Second Age show, and here on this New Year celebration, Florian and ours. So hopefully, it'll be even more fun.
Indeed, totally. And also the ever hungry Nikki, I'm sure. Thank you for coming on and powering through this. I really appreciate it.
It's all right, of course. I would never miss this. Not even for food.
Nice.
You know I'm always here.
Yeah.
Any chance I get to talk about Tolkien. Looking forward to season 2 as well. I would like to wish everyone who's listening as well a happy new year, and all of you guys as well, and Merry Christmas, and everything else that you're celebrating. And yeah, thank you so much.
Indeed, and of course I pass that on as well to all the viewers at home. Also, thank you, Lakitia.
Hey, thanks. This has been a lot of fun. Great meeting everybody, and like Nikki said, happy holidays.
Also, thank you to Kyle. Really appreciate also the work you do behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. Always great chatting with everyone, and looking forward to a big 2022.
And that will be Karen and Lakitia on the Second Age show as well, alongside Strider, and also by meanwhile, of course, said by Telexi, who will be in the Talk and Debate show, which will be on podcast streaming apps only from 2022. But we still have Florian here. Thank you, my friend. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad that I could be here. It's the first time I've been like together on a show with all the other people that participate. For everyone at home, I hope you have a good day. And next time, maybe some time to read a good book or two. Like, of course, that's the ultimate goal has to be to bring more people to reading Tolkien through the content we do, and hopefully the Amazon show will lead a lot more people to discover the books as well.
And while we talk about that, a shout out to I'm Zobud as well, who will be on that show from next year as well. And then finally, last but not least, we have Chen. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, it's always fun. So to think that we've come a long way. So it's
I think it was actually this time last year, it was us two. We did the character thing video. We went through it. So yeah. And I think the good thing here is seeing where we're going to be this time next year and what 2022 is going to bring. So yeah, but that's it from us. Everyone you can see on here and more people who have gone now is how is what is helping run Fellowship of Fans. So yeah, this is everyone behind the scenes, and I just want to say, just from behalf of everyone, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Until the next video, my friends. Goodbye.
Hey everybody, looking forward to starting the podcast. How are y'all doing? Hello?